in this house, the most dire, horrible events took place.
You are not content with the stories. Slice lives come. Be my victim.
Through watching scenes of violence, through watching scenes of transgression, through watching scenes of horror. There's an enormous amount of sort of abattoir of excess.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
How do I know it's time to start? How do I know every single week? My boy Gatsby comes in and starts meowing. Exactly on time. You can set your watch by him. My little guy is pünktlich. How are you, folks? How are you doing this week? This is our 105th episode of Double Feature Horror Show. And I hope you enjoyed it. We were very pleasantly surprised by what we had to cover for this week's episode. And of course, you know, when I say very pleasantly surprised, I mean traumatized, thinking, what the heck are we doing? We've gone too far. Did not expect it to be that horrific. So, you know, job done. Well done, Roald Dahl. We will be covering this week Roald Dahl's Tales of the Unexpected. It was an unexpectedly long-running show. I did not realize how much of it there was. Just like Alfred Hitchcock Presents, in fact, surprisingly like Alfred Hitchcock Presents. Very long-running and presenting a nastier, more menacing side of a creator that I think we probably associate with something a bit more cuddly and cozy. But we're gonna get into it. I'm seeing love for the intro. That is fantastic. I'm glad you appreciate it, folks. I've pretty much got most of the edit for a new intro done. So I will try and premiere that next week. We'll see if I can do it. I'm trying to do something a bit creative, but if it fails, we know we've got a lovely intro to fall back on. But I've yammered long enough. We've got Roald Dahl's Tales of the Unexpected to cover. Now, I wouldn't risk doing it alone. So I've got a returning guest here, Murgoot, who I love bringing on every time we cover classic TV. How are you doing, Murgoot?
Greetings, everyone. Doing pretty good, proper. Really enjoyed these. Really enjoyed these.
Oh, I'm chuffed. And did you have any familiarity with this when I sent the list, or was this just a complete out of the blue request?
No, I went in cold and really enjoyed it. Although, as creepy as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Willy Wonka was, I should have known Roald Dahl was a great thriller writer.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yeah, I mean, this is... I was going in kind of blind. I had read some of the stories originally, but I'd never seen the adaptations. Some of them had a bit of a reputation with me, and I kind of dodged those. I thought, I want to see completely new stuff. So, like you, basically all new for me. But it's not just me and Murgoot. Of course, we have our regular co-host. And when I asked him, what's he going to do when his channel blows up, deservedly, he told me he's going to spend time out the hood, take his mum out the hood, hit his boys up with jobs, no more living hard, barbecues every day, driving fancy cars, and still going to get his regardless. It's that crime guy.
That's Dr. Dre, surely, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. Still. Oh, good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Horroshow's channel. I guess it's a pleasure to be here again as always, and yeah, this was unexpected to say the least. Definitely.
Yeah, he wasn't kidding, was he?
No.
I mixed it up with one that, I'd read the story and then I looked around a little bit and I saw people talking about the Flypaper as a really good episode, but I didn't look at anything else in it.
Right.
So again, going in blind, and then we're all caught out on that one, weren't we? Did you have any familiarity with this going in TCG?
Like Murgoot, went in completely cold.
Nice. And how about you, chat? Had any of you seen any of these episodes before?
I think Slim says that he loved it when he was a lad.
Yeah. I saw pre-show that Slim remembered. Has anyone else gone delving? It seems it's relatively well preserved online. I mean, there are some places where it's kept alive. You can get the whole lot of it on DVD for about 50 quid, or the 50 best episodes for about 30 pounds. So
yeah, you know me, Horrorshow. I like to get all of my viewing in legitimately. I don't believe in piracy. It's very bad, very naughty, and I really struggle to find the episodes to watch. In the end, I had to fly to America to watch them. Check my IP.
Will do. Well,
don't do that. Yeah, don't check my IP.
You would honestly, you'd be shocked at the number of people who wouldn't just shell out 50 quid for a 19 DVD box set on the whim of some rando horror channel to make sure they can do the homework. Some people went to a site like Odyssey and found loads of it on there. I'm speechless, frankly.
Oh, just absolutely shameful behaviour.
Terrible.
Absolutely.
Hey,
And I see
they're available on YouTube. Too bad they're US region locked, but as you said,
it is why I had to fly to America. And Murgoot, thank you very much for your hospitality. It was very, very much appreciated.
You're very welcome anytime.
I see Kent Jensen here. You're taking the opportunity to represent Norway. Yes, Roald Dahl is of Norwegian heritage, moved to Wales, and had quite an interesting life in England, to say the least. But before we get fully into it, I think, should we do a bit of shilling? Because I know TCG, you dropped something a bit special. The week has gone that fast. Was it yesterday or today?
It was yesterday. It was yesterday, 1 p.m. UK time. As I mentioned last week, I was covering the story of Joe Metheny. That is now available to watch now on my channel, That Crime Guy. If you haven't already, and you do like true crime stories, then go on over, give me a subscribe to the channel, join my membership, be nice. Be nice. But no, yeah, that's out now. Really proud of how that one came out. And
it's solid. Yeah. It's a deep one as well. You got 30 minutes. Like, there is a lot to cover.
Yeah, I was expecting it to be a 15-20 minute video based on when I first looked into it. So for it to come out at 31 minutes was just mad, because it's just because of the information that I found. There's quite a bit that isn't covered in other videos that are sort of around the 15-20 minute range. And again, I just want to give a shout out to the Misery Machine for helping me with finding some of the sources for that story. Again, because region issues. But yeah, it was much more of a deep dive than I anticipated. So yeah, go and give it a watch. It's worth it. I promise.
Yeah, worth it. Always worth it. And Murgoot, anything you'd like to shill? Anything you've enjoyed reading about recently?
I've been, well, excuse the phrase, family show, but I've been shitposting a lot and paying more attention to geopolitics with everything going a bit daft, to take a British phrase.
We're rubbing off on you.
Yeah, it's a lot of what I've been doing lately is, well, housework. But, so,
Fair
um,
play. Fair play.
so,
No worries. No worries then.
aside from the upcoming members stream, which I will let you shill.
Oh, yes. Yep. Fantastic. I'll get onto that because we had such a time choosing the episodes here. It was risky. Oh, I see Fez has dropped in. Fez, there's someone who reminds me so much of you. I've got a screen cap. You're going to see if you agree with me. Yeah, we had such a trouble choosing episodes that we just decided, okay, we're going to have to do a bonus episode for this one. So we're going to record that for members. Probably we're recording it Tuesday, and I'll try and drop it for you Friday, if not sooner. But I'll do my best with that one. So we'll do 3 additional episodes for a members-only stream. And that's just one of the many fabulous benefits that you can get by joining this channel as a member, either here or on. Oh, I can't do it. It's too upbeat for me. I'm too naturally dour. But yeah, if you would like to see things like the bonus streams or unreleased videos or the much appreciated Easter egg posts to hear about some of the things allegedly hidden in the videos, you can support the channel as a member either here or on Subscribestar. And yeah, next week you will get a brand new bonus stream. I think I will probably need to do this for every one of the TV anthologies going forward because it is a nightmare choosing the episodes. It really is. So look forward to that next week. And additionally, I have a video on Terrifier that I think I might drop. It was an early release for members, and you know, I saw Ryan Hollinger dropped his video on Terrifier, and it prompted me thinking, yeah, I like that video. I'll get that out. So I might drop that tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. But that's all my shilling. Yeah.
Well, aside from the Saturday watch along of Pet Cemetery.
Oh, God. See, this is why I need you here. I'm so scatterbrained by the time we get to Thursday. Yeah, of course, the main shill, the main thing I meant to shill here is a very special stream that I am doing on Saturday. Where is my where's my little link for it? Gosh. No, I'm looking for it. Got it. Here we go. Special stream on Saturday. It is already up. I'm going to be doing a watch along of Pet Cemetery. It is going to work basically like a DVD commentary. I'll do about 5 minutes of preamble before we get into it, and then I'm just going to start the film going. I will be responding to it, providing an audio commentary. I invite you all to turn up with your own copy of the film. Join me doing that. But also, if you can't make it, it is there as a resource. So if you like the film, you can just watch it and then come back and watch it with my commentary. It'll be an interesting experiment. And I should also, I think people know, it's also partly a warm-up for me for the big project, the blockbuster project, where I'm intending to do quite a few audio commentaries. So join me on Saturday. Give me moral support. It should be fun. It could be a disaster. We'll find out. But I'm looking forward to it. So thank you, Murgoot. I'd slipped my mind. Crikey, state of me. And yeah, if you go on my community page or on the channel page, you can see the link is already up for it. And you will be able to click notify to make sure you don't miss it. But I think that is everything that I wanted to shill. And should we talk Tales of the Unexpected?
Certainly.
Let's do it.
All right, lovely. So really quickly on this, this was picked up by British TV initially in 1979, broadcasting on the now defunct Anglia TV. Folks, you're probably not going to get the levels of nostalgia that I get from seeing the Anglia logo and having my original 1970s paperback of the short stories. I remember we used to have a copy in my house when I was a kid. We've lost it, and I have a new version of the exact same edition, except not covered in blackcurrant squash. Yeah, British TV paid for this for about 3 seasons, and it garnered quite a lot of interest in America. And thanks to American channels, we ended up getting an additional 6 seasons of it, mostly funded by Americans. So, thank you, America. Much appreciated.
I thought you were going to say George Soros then.
Oh no!
Whenever I'm on Twitter, whenever I'm on Twitter, he seems to be the source of funding for everything. I don't know.
We've got some people who remember it here. This is lovely. Oh yes, people are Brit posting. I'm very fond of it.
The theme music traumatized me, mate.
Bless you. Yeah. So yeah, 3 series mostly funded by Britain. Then 6 more series mostly funded by American TV stations, but also broadcast in Britain. It initially started off as stories entirely done by Roald Dahl himself, and he introduced the episodes for the first 3 seasons. That's where we've drawn these episodes from.
Okay.
So very much like Alfred Hitchcock Presents, which we covered 2 weeks ago. You've got the central figure coming on in a Rod Serling fashion, being the sort of recognisable figure in all of this. Because we're, of course, getting a completely different story each week, completely different set of characters. And so Roald Dahl is sort of the glue that holds it together for the first 3 seasons. And he stops doing it after that. He also was not super prolific. So, well, depends what you judge by prolific to be. But he, suffice to say, he did not have enough short stories for 9 complete seasons of it.
I was going to say, because the third one that we... sorry, the first episode of season 3, that was from someone called Elizabeth Taylor, wasn't it? Yeah, because he sort of pays... he gives sort of... like... what's the word? Like, pays homage to her because she'd, like, recently passed away at the time of broadcast number, which I thought was quite sweet.
It was. That was the only sweet thing in the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he ends up getting in stories from other writers, which is fine, just like Twilight Zone, just like Tales from the Unexpected, but it takes a while for him to do that. It's got a lot more of his flavour, his original stories early on. And of course, in further crossover with Alfred Hitchcock Presents, he wrote a load of episodes for that. So some stories that turn up in Tales of the Unexpected also were adapted in Alfred Hitchcock Presents earlier, which I found quite interesting. And in one of the cases, I was able to just compare the episodes. So they're obviously sort of mirroring each other. As for some differences, he can get away with a fair bit more than Alfred Hitchcock could, but nevertheless, Roald Dahl tends to hang back a bit. We're getting stories that are mostly non-supernatural, almost all non-supernatural, and they don't go as gory as they could have at the time. There's still a sense of restraint, as Roald Dahl likes to rely more on menace than explicit horror.
Yeah, I thought of it as like thought gore.
Yeah,
there's a lot of in the episodes that we watched. I felt where I was left thinking more about how the violence or whatnot could have been carried out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's a fair few times where you really have to piece clues together, and it's left completely understated. If you're wanting, folks, if you're interested in something I think aren't covering. We're not covering it tonight, certainly. There's a short story called The Way Up to Heaven, which I think is my favourite from the collection. So if you want to look that up for a thought gore, for something wonderfully traumatic that doesn't actually spell anything out, then I would recommend The Way Up to Heaven. I'll also state that I love these stories so much because I've been rereading them. I'm getting someone with a wonderful voice to record a bunch of them, because I think, just like our cozy literature streams, I want you to be able to enjoy that. And I think I might also suggest to Amy and Waifu that they cover Elizabeth Taylor, because she's got a lot of short stories, and I think based on the one that we cover tonight, she is really worth checking out.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, hang on. White Hawk, that is amazing. That is so amazing. You just randomly stumbled on it. That's fantastic. You're going to have to tell us what you've what stood out for you. What was the big win for you? Give us some episodes that were fantastic. And John, no, don't worry. We've just done a quick intro to the series, and I think we're about to get into discussing the first episode. So, folks, shall we go with the first episode of the first season?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Seems like a logical place, doesn't it?
Yeah, start from the beginning. We're not going to Pulp Fiction this bad boy.
No. Although we will get a little Tarantino later. Spoilers, you know. I think you can see where that's going. I'll just throw this out there at the start. We're getting these introduced by Roald Dahl. And I'll probably move us off to the side there so we can fully appreciate it. How cozy is that?
That is very cozy. I love this intro because he basically was very humble in his assessment of his work, because he was like, it takes me a long time to write these things. I do about I do struggle to write it. I get about 2 books out a year, and I'm thinking, yeah, he writes about as fast as I do.
Yeah, he definitely has a humble style. I mean, we're comparing it to, I'm going to keep doing this, compare it to Alfred Hitchcock, who he worked with.
Yeah. Sorry, it was just also, it was just like at the very big end of his introduction, when he was sort of like, oh yeah, this episode or something like that, just briefly mentions it, and he's like, I do hope you like it, and then it just starts. Oh, that's right, because he was like, oh, this story is set in Jamaica. I hope you like it.
They were so proud of it. That
I know.
Didn't he say we filmed it in Jamaica?
Yeah. It was because it was like, and I couldn't help but notice there was a lack of black people in this video. It was only in this episode. There was only like one, I think, and then like a couple of people in the background as extras. I just found that funny. That. But
it's not how they would shoot it today. Let's say.
No, it'd be very different. But oh mate, that story though. Sorry, I know I sort of wrote like sidetracked you, but yeah, this episode, man. Oh, who would have thought lighting a lighter could be so bloody tense?
I know, right? This. I read the short story. It was fantastic, and I just thought this would be so incredibly cinematic. So this first episode we're talking about is called Man from the South, and it has been adapted many, many times. It's very telling that this is the episode they led with on Tales of the Unexpected. It was also adapted 19 years earlier in Alfred Hitchcock Presents. I do have a little still from that.
Oh, okay.
Oh, this was such a treat, I'm telling you. I mean, I'll restrain myself from giving thoughts, but Steve McQueen and Peter Lorre.
Oh, wow. That's brilliant.
You know, yeah, he looks like he's got some Churchill vibes on there.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, you know I loved this. It was perfect, but we will return to this. Kent Jensen asking, is it Ferrer? Yeah, Jose Ferrer is the Man from the South in this version. It was adapted again in the 1980s for the Alfred Hitchcock Hour, and also adapted by a cheeky Quentin Tarantino for a segment in 4 Rooms. And I think
Man
Murgoot,
Not
from
seen that.
Hollywood.
yeah, you're the only one of us who's seen it.
Oh yeah, it's hilarious. Tim Roth steals the entire scene.
Let's go for a quick recap for anyone who didn't manage to watch this. As I say, you can find these online, but obviously you will all buy the £50 DVD box set with 19 discs and all 112 episodes. But TCG, would you like to give us the pint of Guinness summary for Man from the South?
Yeah, this is just a really straightforward one. So you got this old couple here, this old codgers sitting there, having a nice little chat, looking out on the beach, and they're seeing the youth enjoying themselves. And they mention that they're a couple. They mention that obviously these are like sailors that are on their break, and a man and a woman from that group go and sit up at the table next to them, and they get to talking. He offers them a cigarette or whatnot, and he whips out his lighter, lights it up, and the colonel there comments on the lighter, and the guy is like, the younger sort of sailor guy is like, yeah, it's American, it always works, blah blah blah. And so they colonel offers him a bet. Light the lighter 10 times in a row, and if it does work each and every single time, you get my Jaguar. But if you lose, I take your left pinky finger. And there's a lot of back and forth, a lot of repetitive dialogue, like trying to sort of clarify and confirm, but eventually he agrees to do it. So they go up to the man's apartment, and as you see there, he gets a hammer and nails and some string, nails it to the table. Guy wraps his hand, sticks his hand in there, gets tied down, and then the game essentially begins. And I'm sure we will reveal whether he succeeded or not.
Yes.
Don't want to spoil it just yet.
No, that's cool. That's cool. We will. We'll hold off for a moment. I have a particular screenshot I want to use. I just where is it? I'm sorry, Fez.
I will say,
that's you, my friend.
I will say, I did feel like a lot of the dialogue could have been trimmed down, because there was a lot of. So let me get this straight. If I do this, yes, I'll do that. Okay, but are you saying that if I do this, then I'll win this? Yes. And so you're saying, let me just establish this again, okay? Just so I'm absolutely certain. If I light my lighter 10 times, will I get the Jaguar? Yes. And if I don't, you'll take my pinky finger? Yes. So am I right in thinking that I'll have my finger chopped off? Yes. But if I win, I get the Jaguar? Yes. I'll think about it. So let me get this straight. It was a lot of that in the episode, but when they actually got to sitting down and his hands tied down, his pinky fingers exposed, and then he's doing the bet's underway. Oh my god, man, that I was just literally on the edge of my seat, like, oh my god. How am I feeling so tense right now? This is unbelievable.
There are some great observations here. I think like this is a very good observation. There are politics here that we are probably not going to be able to pick up on, but they're very much there. Like this sort of the vibe of the Englishman abroad as an observer, sort of far out, and in the story there's notable concern about the sort of brashness of the Americans and the sort of inappropriateness of the English girls getting a bit too loose around them. And there's this old English gentleman just observing all of this, sort of thinking, oh dear, that's going a bit far. And then he gets his companion who's like him, a distinguished man, a traveling man of the world, and it lulls you in to this sense of security. And it's just such a fascinating dynamic of this brash young American who's basically being punished for being overconfident. And it has one level of tension because of the sort of English, stiff upper-lipped disapproval of the dropping of standards. But then this sort of harder to place tension from the man from the South who's, how can I say, he's got a very different background, but he's got the wealth there too. There's sort of there's kind of a question of how much on the level are they, and it's this beautifully unspoken sort of tension in the dynamic of how these four people all fit together. And I think just like us looking at this now for a story that was first filmed in 1960, we are going to be missing out on a lot of that richness that is obviously in there. And I think we're, probably only picking up on about half of it if we're lucky.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, you could say that. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really. I'll be honest. I didn't really think too much of the dynamic. I felt like it was more. There was clearly definitely a generational gap. Because even though the old English geezer and the old colonel over here were. He wasn't English. The colonel was. He was. No. I'm calling him colonel because of KFC. I can't not see it. But yeah, what was he? Was he German, Belgian? Like, what was he supposed to be?
Spoken.
Danish? Did you say?
Spanish.
Oh, Spanish. Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So like culturally, they'd be from different. Different. It was culturally different, but generationally speaking, there is that commonality between them two, and they're looking out at the youngsters enjoying themselves and having fun, and I got that sense of generational difference from them two. But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right with regards to sort of like the English sensibility sort of shining through. It's really only the woman and the old English geezer who were kind of like, come on, like, is this reasonable? Like, this isn't right, surely. Yeah, and you could argue the character who's introduced last has that same sensibility, but based on the decisions that person has made, which you find out right at the very end, I would argue otherwise.
Yeah, the mysterious woman played by Katie Warado. Good Mexican actress. She's been in a lot of things.
Something I absolutely loved about this version. I've got my criticisms of this version, but I thought the wife was amazing in this. And the fact that she just goes off on him in Spanish, I love.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the way he sort of like is sitting in his chair, like giving it large as well. And then like less than 3 seconds later, he sort of slumped in his armchair, sulking while she's completely verbally bashing him. And he's like, yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. There's another thing that
I can relate. My man, I can relate.
That's my car you're giving away.
Yeah. Oh, is that what she's saying?
She said it in English too.
Right.
Yeah. She brings in so much energy with that flurry of Spanish that it's such a good tension release, which you desperately need, Like the wife's appearance in the other versions is a lot more genteel, but the other thing I like is just the way it builds up, and the importance of the English girl is mostly at the beginning.
Yeah.
Because at that point, the American guy is basically doing it to be, cock of the walk.
Yeah, he's just
to her.
Exactly. Yeah, he's just doing it to impress her, isn't he? But then, clearly, it gets to a stage where she's not impressed by it. She's like, come on, like, this is getting ridiculous now. Like, just back out. It's fine. And then I think it then becomes a point of No, I've said this. This is American. American items always work. They never fail because rah rah. They're American patriotism. Woo. I think it becomes just a point of principle for him. Plus, he could also get a Jaguar out of it, and you know, who wouldn't want to be in the passenger seat of a nice shiny white Jaguar? So he's thinking, ladies. He can just ditch the English bird and go for someone else, I guess.
It's enough to get him in, and then after that, it's kind of his pride, and then he's just. It is a darn good offer, you know, but it moves from that theoretical realm to the extremely real in just this amazing way.
Yeah.
There are details like it's noticed in the story as well. Roald Dahl makes a point of having the Englishman observe that the man from the south here, when he starts knocking the nails in, you realise he's done this before. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah. Also, can we just acknowledge that this was Ryan Reynolds' first acting gig?
I thought so too. I couldn't get away from that.
I did check the comments on the video, and there was another person there who was like, "Oh my god, this is Ryan Reynolds." It looks so much like him. It's unbelievable.
An early sort of Canadian PSA, you know.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful formula, making so much out of something that you would think is quite mundane when just suddenly everything's on the line.
Yeah.
The way he does it so mechanically as well, just sort of lights it, immediately flicks it back.
Yep.
It's fabulous. It's fabulous. Should we talk about how this one ends? Because there's a little variation in how they've ended it.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, John
Hang
mentions.
That's where I know him from. Gosh,
Oh, is it?
darn it.
Oh, is this Ryan Reynolds?
Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
Right. Okay.
That's where that familiar-looking dude is from. This is going to happen every time we cover anthologies. You know, the most random people turn up in them. Anyway, sorry, TCG.
No, I was gonna say John mentions in this. Yeah, they don't get to the last one because I thought it was going to go down to the wire as well. So when it ended on like the 6th or 7th attempt, I thought that was quite cool because I was sort of checking the timeline and I'm thinking like because he's taking a lot of time between lights, and I'm thinking we're gonna have time to get through them all because there's only a couple of minutes left, and then yeah, the old wife storms in, going off on one. Loved it. Yeah, but I'm interested to know about the variations.
Yeah, it's a wonderful switch. You know, you can imagine the temptation is going to be take it down to the 10th attempt, and you don't even get there. You know, it's called off. It's almost like this return to sanity, and someone comes in and be like, "Yeah, what on earth are you doing? This is crazy." And then there's a twist on the twist, which is far nastier than anything we had been prepared for. As we are told by the wife, in fact, I'll get her up because she did an absolutely brilliant job in this. Where is she?
Did anyone else come away from this episode wondering whether or not he would have actually done it?
Well, I can give you a little.
I mean, like whether he would have done whether he would have like lighted it 10 times in a row, not actually chopped off his finger. Just to clarify.
I just assumed that one of them would have failed just like it did in...
Murgoot, you're not that confident in the American product? Oh,
Zippos are brilliant, but the more nervous you get, the worse it gets.
Right. But they always work. It always works.
Well, one very interesting detail, like something the Alfred Hitchcock Presents adaptation did so beautifully was same thing happens. You know, he's on his 7th flick. It's successful. The wife storms in, shuts it down, and Steve McQueen gets up and is released from the table and goes over to the girl and just takes her drink from her and downs it. You know, nicks a martini, necks it, wonderful. And then she's, you know, she can't drink anymore, so she reaches for a cigarette, and he just goes to light it for her, and it fails.
Oh,
And it's just a little moment between them. Carlos doesn't notice. The wife doesn't notice. It's just this little moment between them, and it's
that's
so
brilliant.
delicious.
Oh, that is brilliant.
And in the Four Rooms vignette, the guy who brags about his lighter, he's just going on and on and on. And Tim Roth is the bellboy he's the frame story in all 4 vignettes and 4 rooms. And Tarantino's character says, "Here's $100. I want you to hold his hand down and grab the cleaver. If you actually have to remove his finger, here's 900 more." And the guy's like, the guy at the table is like, okay, this is brilliant. Always works. Flicks it the first time, fails. Tim Roth looks, grabs the cleaver, cuts the guy's finger off, scoops up the money, and runs out the door while the guy is screaming, and they put the finger in the ice bucket.
Nice.
Expectation subverted. Nice, yeah. It's so Tarantino has to switch it up, I guess. But the final revelation, the thing that makes it so much more disturbing, is what the wife does. She comes in and she reveals that Carlos has no money. He's gambled everything away, taking 47 fingers.
47 fingers, that's right. So Horrorshow just seems to have dipped out all of a sudden. I'm sure she'll try and get back in.
Including 2 of hers winning her car back from her husband.
That's right. Where'd you go?
A lot of her having...
And I got suddenly cut off like an errantly gambled pinky. Shocking stuff.
So yeah, we got up to 47 fingers.
Yeah, he's taken 47 fingers, lost 11 cars. And you think she's just despairing at him, like this guy who's kind of lost his mind, but then she reveals this absolute iron spine. As in every version, it ends with her taking the keys back on a hand that is missing a lot of fingers.
Oh, it's grim.
Her pinky and her ring finger.
And it looked like a little bit of her middle finger was, I don't know if that was just her hand, but like her middle finger looked a little bit cut as well. Yeah.
My minor complaint is, you know me, I'm a gore hound. I like more loss. So I like in the Hitchcock version where it's just a thumb and a pinky left on that hand. You know, I like that. It's just that little bit more of a cost, and they didn't have to cut away to a different hand for it. But still, it is a heck of a twist. It's that much more menacing that she just shows she's got this will of absolute steel to take all the money from him.
It sounds like a commentary on women, but I won't make that.
Oh, Roald Dahl did get divorced, but it was after writing this story.
Ah.
So
I'm only joking, I don't mean that. I'm going to get cancelled now. Oh well.
Oh dear, TCG. Yeah, so I had to open with this one. I loved it. It's the first in the short story collection. It was adapted already by Hitchcock, so we had that crossover, and it's on its own. It's just a fantastic story. So
yeah,
I'm led with it.
Yeah, do you know what's really frustrating is looking at this picture? I am spotting the glaring continuity error. That's a shame.
Yes, I'm afraid. I mean, if you don't know it, you're not looking out for it.
That's
but I'm
it, yeah.
afraid I
I-
was looking out for
Yeah,
it. We are
see-
talking about the digits, of course.
Yeah, I didn't, because again, I had no idea where this was going to go, so I didn't think to look at her hands at the time. But I did sort of think to myself afterwards, I was like, I wonder if it did show that. And I wonder if that was like consistent, like whether she had a hand in it, because I couldn't remember. Clearly they didn't. Never mind. Oh, good knowing you, TCG. True crime guy, Top G.
Pour one out for my homie, TCG.
It was nice knowing you guys.
Yeah, in the Hitchcock version, they hide it better. She comes in carrying a load of stuff with her sort of cut hand hidden in a glove, so that she can just sort of reveal it, and they don't have to cut to a different hand. So it was done a fair bit. I would say the effect was done better.
Right.
But I've got to say, what I like about the story so much is how it takes the idea of the civil, sophisticated society, and then slowly moves you into this really disturbing realm where you're sort of not sure what the rules are. And her coming in and just speaking Spanish breaks the spell, and I absolutely love that. It's a sort of snapping out, and it just it felt a lot more authentic. So for me, she is the best wife, even if the effect is better in the Hitchcock version. And just one other detail about the Hitchcock version, and folks, you should watch both. They are fantastic. They have little differences. Steve McQueen is fantastic. He's got a different vibe. He's smoother. They don't set it in Jamaica. Was it Jamaica?
It was Jamaica, yeah.
Yeah. They don't set it in Jamaica, which is a bit sad. But I'd say the woman character is a lot better. And Peter Lorre's interpretation, I didn't think it was as good as Jose Ferrer's. Obviously, we love Peter Lorre here. There's a thing where he just looks kind of glum every time the lighter works, and he drops the cleaver in a very sort of phallic way, like he's drooping when he thinks he's not going to get to cut the finger off.
Right.
And there's just a moment at the end that absolutely redeems it, and just not saying it's better, but it puts it up on the same level in a different way. His wife is scolding him and telling everyone else about the bets. And when she starts talking about him taking 47 other fingers, that's like the only moment he smiles. Like he just fondly reminisces. And I thought, oh, changed my mind. I love this. So different interpretation, but it was fantastically done. And I think there are a few more little touches in the Alfred Hitchcock version that mean overall it might take the win. I don't know.
I'd have to watch it to compare it and to agree or disagree with that.
As would I.
Yeah, well, highly recommended, folks. Highly recommended. It's in season 5 of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. And I'll just check because I think there was another connection here. No, there we go. Sorry, it's our next episodes have the connection. So this is originally Roald Dahl story adapted by Kevin Goldstein Jackson. It's the next lot that have a connection by a chap called Robin Chapman. But we'll get to that. Do you have a preference, folks? Would you prefer to stick with season 1 and the Landlady, or go with the Flypaper?
Well, for me, I know you're asking the chat. I'm happy to go
No,
chronological.
asking you two, which you'd prefer to talk about first.
Oh, I'm happy to go chronological.
Sweet. All right, let's go for that then. I will get up the Landlady. That sounded wrong. I should phrase that any other way. Oh dear.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I would
Red's
not want to.
extortionate, but oof.
Yeah, no, definitely avoid this one. This was like, for me, this was like Misery meets House of Wax.
Oh yes, oh yes. Yeah, this is this might surprise you. This is the one I'll be a little harsher on, but I chose it for a very specific reason. For the sort of contrast it has with the story. So, Murgoot, would you like to do the Guinness summary for The Landlady?
Before you do, can we just get some Fs in the chat, please, for BuzzFeed? They're closing down.
Big surprise.
Oh, all of BuzzFeed or just BuzzFeed News?
Let me find
BuzzFeed
out.
News.
Well, if it's true, folks, we'll accept an F in the chat for BuzzFeed News, or also an S, I gather is quite popular in this situation.
Yeah, apparently the news brand is shutting down.
Oh dear. Alas. Alas. So I should say this is coming out in season 1 as well. It's one of the better known stories. It's one of the ones that Dahl originally attempted to make supernatural and then sort of backed away from in later revisions. I'd be really interested to read that, the supernatural version of it, but it's something he shied away on. But he's definitely moving much more into conventional horror territory with this one.
Oh yeah, definitely. Sorry, Murgoot, I completely interrupted your BuzzFeed Guinness review. Thanks to BuzzFeed. I completely ruined your BuzzFeed review of this.
10 Reasons Why this film is won't believe number 9.
Yeah, number 9. This dude is not 18 years old.
No, we got some extreme Dawson's casting here.
I know, right?
Well, before we get into nitpicking, young man is traveling to Bath for his job, and he's nervously looking around, and on the train he meets a priest, and he's talks his way through and goes to find a place to let, and he finds a quiet boarding house, and this is just going to be a quick one. He goes in, meets her, is surprised by the dog and the parrot, and she offers him, he sits down, he lets the room, he sits down, enjoys tea with her, and he starts feeling funny, and she talks about how, her former tenants were so nice, and they're still upstairs, they still rent the rooms, they've been very nice, and how do you keep your parrot so quiet? Well, I had him stuffed, and I did the taxidermy myself. And your dog is so quiet too. Is he stuffed too? Yes. He was a real barker when he was alive. And the gentleman starts getting woozier and woozier, and then passes out after being shown his room. And he's, what's going on? Well, you're staying. And she goes and visits the other tenants, and they're stuffed too, just like the dog and the parrot. And she goes back to the room where the new guy is, and she brings out all her taxidermy gear.
Yep. There we go.
Short and sweet.
It is very short and sweet. What were the first impressions on this one? Because I've got a very trivial one in that the train was very disappointing. Do you remember how lovely last week's train was in Dr. Terror's House of Horrors? You know, it was so nice. It had a cabin. It had art on the walls. The train they're on to Bath
Oh, yeah.
is very... It you know, it looks like the Cross City line today. You know, it's... Already we're living in the ashes of train civilization.
That's very true, actually. Yeah, I did. You know, I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think. I genuinely didn't think of that. Oh my god, that's like such a short period of time.
Yeah, 1965 to 1979.
God.
But even so, I was like, I still got just like little details like this. He's 18 and he's already going out to the regional office in Bath, and like he's all suited and that sort of it already makes the thing feel like a different age, a different culture. You know, that 18-year-olds are doing that, and he's not, you know, going to uni and then hitting spoons up. You know, that's a really interesting sort of detail there that you should pick up on. Every time we watch old stuff, this is what I get fascinated by. And him paying an old money as well. Oh, you're a little quiet there, Murgoot. I don't know if
Hello? Testing?
yeah, that's better. We got you there.
Okay. Yeah, Siobhan McKenna plays the landlady in one of my favorite films, Dr. Zhivago. She played Anna in it. And it took me a while to realize who it was, but she's wonderfully dotty and creepy in this episode. She does a fine job with things. Just the rest of the casting is a bit off.
Oh, she helms the whole thing. You know, she really does. It's kind of interesting how this works almost like an inverse Psycho, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Where Mom is still alive and Norman is stuffed in the closet.
Although you've still got the domineering mother figure.
Oh yes.
I mean, I think I can't help but think he must have taken some inspiration there from Psycho, you know.
Well, when did he publish this story?
Oh, that's a really good question. So we should say that the anthology I have is Tales of the Unexpected, and that's collected after the series. So it was actually written in another collection, so called Kiss Kiss. There we go, Kiss Kiss. Yeah. Roald Dahl's other story collections are kind of weird. I'll be honest. They sound kind of odd now, but first published in the New Yorker magazine, 1959. So, would that have been
contemporaneous with the Psycho movie? That's
Yeah.
That's well after Robert Bloch published Psycho.
Okay, there we go then. So yeah, could have been inspired by the movie, but not by by the novel, not by the movie. But of course, the movie goes a fair way off the novel. Also, yeah, Dr. Prepper, that works. But come on, let's be poetic. Zugedämmerung. You know, get the Wagner reference in. We'll call it a Zugedämmerung. Okay.
The Untergang.
Downfall, the going under. So the going under of the trains, the or downfall of trains. So the Oliver Hirschspiegel's story about the Mustache Man's final days in the bunker was called it was called Untergang. So that was translated as downfall. But you could equally have Dämmerung from like Gotterdämmerung, Twilight of the Gods. So we could be poetic and we can say Zugedämmerung, Twilight of the Trains. This is really a bizarre tangent to be on. Sorry, folks. We got people coming in. It's like, is this a random channel? I am a pretty random channel. I'm not going to lie. We take an interesting tangent now and again. Okay, so yeah, what I found really interesting in this is just how Siobhan McKenna plays it, and she's constantly dominating him. Like there are so many screen caps I could have got where he's, you know, I mean, this is pretty good. Maybe let's go with this, where she's leaning into his space. We could do we should do the lines. Do the old green and red lines on this. Why didn't I do that? Oh dear.
She's like the old old auntie who never married, but every time you get near her, she pinches your cheeks and runs you off into the next room to do something.
Yeah. Yeah, they make a lot of hay out of the sort of the boundaries being disrupted by how much she dominates him, how much she moves him around, how she'll throw him off.
Thanks, Kent.
Oh,
You're
sorry?
correct.
Yeah. Oh, Kent, yeah, has got the yeah, thank you, Kent. I know Hitchcock got the movie produced incredibly quickly, so I didn't think it was that quick though. That's kind of amazing. Yeah, so she's dominating him, she leads him, she mixes it up, she gets his name wrong over and over again. In the short story, he just sort of thinks of her as a bit dotty. And I always wondered if she had a different angle for why she always got the name wrong. That she was trying to make him be someone else. You know, she was taking him to have him take the place of someone else. So she was looking for someone who reminded her of someone she used to know. Probably the, is it Walker they keep mixing up? He keeps using a different name for him.
His surname's Weaver, but she does call him a different surname a couple of times in this, and he again, it's just such a sign of the times. Weaver, Weaver. Oh yes, I must commit that to memory. Quite right.
Yeah, signing in the guest book as well. It's I mean, TCG, how did you find this one from when she leads him downstairs?
I just found it really weird. Found it really weird, man. I mean, if I'm going to a B&B, I don't want the B&B owner like sniffing around me constantly. It's like, dude, just go and do some work. Leave me alone. Do you know what I mean? Like, no, too chatty.
I loved how most of it was subtle, and she was just freaking him out by being in his space all the time. And like she really mothers him. Like she has him sit next to her on the sofa, and then it's quite charming. But then she'll just drop a little detail, like saying the chap we left a thing. He signs into the guest journal, and he notices that there's only 2 names in there in the last several years, which is weird. And then he thinks, hang on, I know those names. Where do I know them from?
That's right.
It's thrown off. But then she'll just throw in a little detail, like one of the guys didn't have a blemish on his body. And it just moves it into that sort of uncomfortable kind of sexual territory that Robert Bloch did.
Yeah.
With Psycho. Hang on, what?
Yeah, I got that vibe.
That's why I keep thinking of Psycho. It just crosses that boundary back and forth, and she goes more and more over that line. Like, I'm not saying she's not doing it for that kind of pleasure at all, but it's the kind of angle that they take to make it very unnerving. And I think they still do a very good job of dropping the pieces in there. But one thing that is very... Oh, we got some appreciation for the tie there. Yeah.
It's a good tie. It's good tying of that tie. I did appreciate that, I have to admit.
You gotta love the fashion at the time, you know. It's that's a very odd detail that made me wonder. I mean, we've watched stuff from this era before, and I've never seen someone do a knot like that. That's anyway. Goodness me. You know, in where I have to criticize it is that the problem with this one is that it spells everything out. Now, I gather The Landlady was an incredibly successful story, but if you read it, it doesn't spell anything out at all.
Okay.
You get the same clues dropped, that there are, you know, a weirdly low number of guests there for it still to be going on. The names are kind of familiar. He thinks he's seen them in the newspaper. She'll drop an odd detail or two. Then you pick up that she'll say the guests are still here, which is already odd. And then you've got the same clue that the pet is stuffed, the dog is stuffed, the parrot's stuffed, and done so realistic that he didn't even notice.
Yeah.
So she's a very skilled taxidermist. And then the last thing you get is that he's feeling a tiny bit drowsy, and the tea tastes oddly of almonds. That's all you get.
Yeah.
Whereas this does spell it out. It does show you very explicitly what's going on. And I mean, it's done well. It's nice how... It's nice the kind of horror you get from him being vulnerable and looking really helpless. But I miss the subtlety of the original story. Where you could just... If you're just tired and reading it, you might, you know, want to chuck the book against the wall and think, what the hell was that? There's nothing in there. What?
Right,
Whereas
okay.
you have to really put together fairly subtle clues in that to work out what horrible thing is about to happen to him. Whereas spelling out, I don't know.
Sorry, I was just coughing. Was this? I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. But again, I haven't got anything to compare it against. You see, unlike yourself. So, I mean, I definitely thought. I mean, in terms of the creep factor, I think knowing what was round the corner, if you will, kind of made it that bit more menacing because she knows, but good old 28-year-old, 18-year-old doesn't know. And it's kind of like, come on, mate, cotton on. Oh, here's a cup of tea. Don't drink the tea. Don't drink it. Oh, he's drunk it. Oh, no. Like, we know what's going to happen. Like, the dogs aren't barking. The parrots aren't squawking. The guests are still there, even though they've not been seen for many a moon. It's like, come on, man. Put the dots together. Come on. Oh, it's too late.
Yeah. I don't know if I might have preferred him to sort of try and get up the stairs on his own as he's poisoned and stumble into the wrong room and discover them.
Oh, in that regard, yeah, that would have been that would have been quite cool.
Yeah, it could have worked. It could have worked. I guess I'm biased by the fact I love how brave Dahl was to just make it ultra subtle in the original story and just not spell it out. But I don't think you could do that on TV. I think you did have to be a bit more explicit for it to work on this one.
Perhaps. And
I do love McKenna's performance. It is a powerhouse. It does command the whole thing.
I don't know, but it was good. But when he turned around and said he was 18, I was like, nope, I don't believe you. Don't believe you. Nope, not accepting that. No way. Nuh-uh.
What's that line? If this were a horror movie, we'd be played by people in their mid-30s.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. Just
You're never far from a scary movie reference on this channel.
Never.
Folks. Never. I mean, I like it. I think we've picked up on most of it, to be honest. It's a fairly simple story. I think John Gorris said there was the lack of a twist. There we go. Yeah. It's not really a twist. It's a slow amping up of the nightmare factor. You know.
Yeah, I mean, what I will say is those two stuffed guests as well freaky, and I'm pretty sure they were people in like makeup because the eyes looked, because the eyes, man. Do you know what would have really done it for me, right? If the eyes turned like House of Wax.
Are we gonna have to watch House of Wax? We could do it.
Oh, mate, we have to.
Good, we could fit it in. Yeah, they were indeed played by real people who were very patient and very still, and I think that was 100% the right choice. It's that verisimilitude, like that's a person. You're expecting them to move, and it looks weird when they don't. Whereas if you try to do a really good model, it's just not worth it. It's just, it was a right decision to make them have them played by actors wearing a kind of unnerving makeup. Did you have any final thoughts on this one, Murgoot?
The two stuffed borders, that was truly uncanny valley for me because I happened to look away. I was expecting it, but when I looked back at the screen and saw how they were propped up, I was like, whoa, okay, they did a good job with that. That's creepy.
Yeah. There is an interesting vein in Roald Dahl's adult stories of women getting power over men and using it in an incredibly nightmarish way. Like we'll see that quite a few times if we keep on with the stories. If you're interested, folks, we might cover it in the bonus episode, but if not, check out the story William and Mary. That's a really good example of that. Normie, are you bailing out before Flypaper? Just sort of, they're gonna.
I don't, mate. I don't blame you, Normie. I don't blame you. I saw that you said earlier that you were familiar with this show. Obviously, we commented on the fact that you didn't like the theme music. I don't blame you. It's probably a good time to dip out for you, my lad. Because, mate, this last episode. Oh my god. It was Ian Brady. Oh my god, yeah, just Moore's Murders vibes, big time.
Yeah, Dr. Prepper, I'm not even joking. Several of the stories, it's like that he's talking about the danger of like women are not helpless at all in Roald Dahl stories. In fact, every single one we're covering tonight, now that I think of it, has a woman show a kind of unexpectedly scary, domineering side. An ability to be sadistic that's quite surprising. He goes to it a lot. And I'll just say also, Fez, I was rewatching Dollhouse recently. That show is incredibly underanalyzed and it seems like it's forgotten about. But it's a very interesting show with some, I'd say, quite prescient ideas in it. Anyway, okay, let's go for trauma. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about the Flypaper. An interesting title that makes no sense till the end, and then you wish you didn't get it. Dahl starts this episode lit notably differently. He's got this sinister red glowing light on him that he hasn't had in the others, and I can't help but think that's deliberate.
Well, I mean, bearing in mind it's season 3, isn't it? By now, I mean, again, these are the only 3 episodes I'd seen. So by the point of watching this one, I just assumed that it was just a different presentation style for the episodes moving forward. I don't know if that was the case or not. Horror show's muted. Okay.
Sorry.
right.
What was that again?
No, I was just saying. I just took it to be a change in presentation style, just because there was a whole second season in between the first 2 episodes, so I just figured it was probably just to give it a bit more of a spooky vibe. But if you're saying that this was just a one-off thing, I can definitely.
I don't know for certain. It seemed interesting that of the ones I've seen, I think this is the only one which has the red lighting. And it ends on that close up, whereas the close up on the face is a bit more unnerving. But at the same time, it's once again, he's humble, His way of presenting these is so completely different to Hitchcock and Serling. Not even to mention the Crypt Keeper, obviously. We will get to the Crypt Keeper. Do not worry, folks. I almost feel like he's possibly a bit uncomfortable about it.
It did feel like that. It did feel like a little bit of awkwardness in his presentation, like in the way that he was bringing these in. It was completely different to Hitchcock, who was, quite confident, self-assured, and quite happy to make a little joke and presentation before introducing the episodes and closing them out. Whereas Roald Dahl was kind of like, so I wrote this book, or this was written by one of my friends. It's pretty good. Hope you like it.
It's a sweet moment. I wish the story was sweet.
Oh my god, honestly, like doing the kind of content that I do, I've kind of got desensitized to a lot of these horror stories that you hear. But I mean, this hit me on a level that I wasn't prepared for.
No, not in the least. Not in the least. It is. And one thing about this is it has that aspect where it's, how can I say, the verisimilitude, the resonance with real life. We open on police searching the moorland area with dogs. Like, I think we might need a chat. I know not everyone here is British. Do you have a familiarity with the Moors murders? If we talked about that, the Moors murders, Myra Hindley and Brady, are those names that mean anything to you, or is that not travelled far outside of Britain? I think we'll find out. But,
it's not familiar to me, but we've had similar.
Okay. I was going to say, just think of like couples who have done things to children and left them out in the field. I'm trying to be very careful how I word it for your monetization status. Horror show.
This is hard to talk about under the Mohan regime.
But I mean, in terms, again, this is what I say when I wasn't prepared for it, mate. I mean, there's certain stuff that I will sort of avoid. Not necessarily because of what YouTube want me to say and do, but it's just more of like, I mean, I'm a father, right? And
this is my
story. This is just, for me, this is like every parent's worst nightmare. And I can't.
Okay, so if this is not familiar to you, so in the early to mid 60s, a couple called Ian Brady and Myra Hindley were found to have been, shall we say, taking children, disposing of them, offing them, unaliving them, and then hiding the body, like just awful stuff of a large number of kids. And then in the very wide open, undeveloped, fairly wild moorlands of Yorkshire, where it's it's very underdeveloped. There's a lot of untouched space. They were hiding bodies there. And I think even now we don't think we've recovered them all. Is that right?
Not all of them, no. I think I'm just looking through it now. Only two of the victims have been found. There was five confirmed victims overall. In fact, I think they were only charged for 3 of the murders. But there were 5 victims in total. I know that there was some news recently where they thought one of the kids, Keith Bennett, they might have tracked down where he was last placed. But unfortunately, that turned out to be a bit of a nothing burger. But yeah, you've got. I mean, they're serving whole of life tariffs. These two, Brady and Hindley. Hindley actually died in 2002 in prison, but Ian Brady's still alive at the moment, and he just absolute scum of the earth. Them two, absolute scum of the earth.
Definitely horrible stuff. So that is going on early to mid 60s. The story, The Flypaper by Elizabeth Taylor, is first published in 1969. So it's very current, and these images would have been frankly disturbing, I think, to a heck of a lot of people. Far too familiar, maybe I'll say.
Yeah, well, I mean,
far too familiar to a lot of British people.
I mean, again, sort of drawing comparisons. I mean, if you're saying 69, this was. I mean, the crimes themselves were from July 63 to October 65. So we're talking like less than 5 years from the last of the crimes. So yeah, you could tell there was definitely the real life, or the real life version of events definitely had an impact and was probably on the front of the mind of Elizabeth Taylor when she wrote this. Yeah,
definitely. We should say that, so the short stories from Elizabeth Taylor, this is first coming out, let me check for certain. Okay, so season 3 first came out 1980. So there's a bit more distance between it, but people will still have been very, very aware. And this was also adapted by Robin Chapman. So he's the same guy who adapted the story of The Landlady. He does a lot of adaptations of the source material for Tales of the Unexpected. And you can tell I'm trying to avoid talking about the plot, can't you? Let me give it a go. We've all... we'll all take a hit on this because the Guinness summary is difficult to do. So we start off with this scene of policemen combing the moors for a body, instantly, setting off memories for people. And they're looking for, I'm afraid I want to say the name is Elaine, is the 12-year-old girl that they're missing, that they are looking for. We follow a girl called Sylvia Wilkinson who is feeling she's kind of an outcast. She's a bit of a loner. She's a bit surly. And we hear her in a monologue as she basically feels hard done by. She's an orphan staying with her grandmother and being unfavorably compared wherever she goes. So she's a bit of a loner. And she starts to see that she's being followed by a very creepy guy called Herbert, which...
Gee, what does that rhyme with?
Well, yeah. Modern day Family Guy viewers may think of Herbert the pervert, but Herbert is a bit of a loaded name for Brits. Like, if you call someone a Herbert, you're kind of implying they're a bit of a weirdo loner already. So that connotation might not make it to Americans, but I'm not sure if you hear his name at any point anyway. Anyway.
I don't think you do.
Yeah. Herbert starts following her around, following young Sylvia around. I think she's 13 or something. And gets on the bus with her. And it's this horribly believable, recognizable scenario of him pushing the boundary and not leaving her alone. And even though this an older woman stands up for her, stands up for Sylvia and basically tells Herbert to shut up, he doesn't leave her alone. She gets off the bus early. He follows her. Luckily, the old woman comes to her rescue again. Sylvia is trying to call the police from a public telephone box. How's that for a flashback?
Yeah.
But the phone box is broken. And so the old woman says, no, come back with me and we'll call the police. She goes back with the old woman to a trailer, and the old woman's basically like, let's get some tea on, get some biscuits, I'll call the police now. And she's going through the motions of getting everything together. And she's calling the police, gets the wrong number, and then she hands Sylvia a third cup.
Oh,
And
when
at
she
this
did that.
moment, yeah, you had the same realization.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
up until that point, I was really rooting for Sylvia. I was like, what a lass. Yeah, the way she sort of like it's just so gut wrenching.
It's totally gut wrenching. You know, at this point, you know there's a third person joining them, and it is Herbert who comes in, and you realise Herbert and the old woman work together
Yep.
in a Brady and Hindley fashion.
Yep.
They've trapped Sylvia. You get close-ups of the
Oh, it's the last line of this.
flypaper, and they talk about how the flies are drawn in by something sweet.
Yeah.
AKA the old woman has been acting sweet to her, showing her some kindness, and it's drawn her in. Notably, there is a dead fly on the flypaper and a live fly.
Yeah. Oh, John Gorris there. Yeah. Foreshadowing big time. I know you're kind.
Oh, wrong one.
Yeah, and yeah. No, but that's valid as well.
Yeah.
With Dr. Prepper's one about the stranger's comment. Yeah. Again, it's just like these little subtle bits that you kind of just think you kind of don't pay attention to. And again, she's an older lady, and her introduction into this is like showing disgust towards the man's behaviour, just his brashness initially, and then obviously when it gets to a point where he starts going a bit too far, and then she steps in as like beating him with a bag or umbrella, wherever it was, like get away.
Perfect. Look at this.
Yeah, like you have no reason at that point to suspect any foul play. Do you know what I mean? You just assume that she's a safe person to be with, and the way that it turns it on its head is just, oh man, I have to say, with each one of these episodes, I was delightfully probably not the right word in the context, but in terms of the way that the story is presented, it does take its twists or its turns very well, and I mean, it definitely invoked the correct, the right emotions for that moment. Just the last line in that episode as well, when you're there, they're sitting there with their cups of tea, and she's on her own in the seat opposite them, and then the next bit, it's the trailer door shutting or opening, and you're out, and you, the viewer, are outside, and Herbert looks at the camera and he's like, so he says something along the lines of like, we like to have our privacy.
Yeah.
And then shuts the door, and I'm just like, oh my god. And again, this is what I was talking about at the beginning, about the visual sort of horror, thought gore. You just think, I can understand why Normie wouldn't want to stick around for this one, put it that way. And I saw people in the comments section of this video saying like they had to take time away. Like people like it took them days to get over this, and I mean, given the context of when this was written, and again, what year would this have been premiered?
1980 it came out.
I mean, you're still, again, it's only sort of 15 years away. I mean, if you did something along the lines of, for comparison, you'd be thinking like Ian Huntley. If you did something about like Holly and Jessica Wells, and you sort of put you made something like even today, like there are still people that will remember that one quite rawly, very raw, and it still invokes those strong emotions, even though it's been sort of 15, 20 years since that happened.
I think, I mean, it's of everything we've seen, this is almost sort of unfiltered realism.
Yeah.
I say the only break you get from almost documentary style is the fact that you become aware of camera work and that you hear her inner monologue.
Yeah.
And that's kind of all you get. But otherwise, this is unfiltered reality, basically a documentary. And one of the things I find that's what I find so hard about it, is that it doesn't give you a fantastical element to let you off the hook. You're just so reminded that this is believable, this is credible, this could happen, this could be copied. And I think your idea of thought gore is powerful here. All of these could have shown a bit more at the time. We've looked into censorship, and they could have gotten away with a fair bit more, but they don't. They let your brain do all the horrible, horrible work, and I think that's what made this genuinely disturbing in a way that, we've watched some pretty nasty stuff here. This really was quite upsetting. Normie, we're here for you, man. We're all suffering. None of us expected to get genuinely shaken up by something, and this is proper nightmare fuel.
What did you think, Murgoot?
Nightmare fuel. As a father myself, this is just a worst case scenario. And initially, the grandmother I thought was the red herring. She ended up being a red herring, but I thought she'd have a bigger part in it. And then as time went on, I was like, ooh. And then the twist at the end, the teacup, was just, oh dear.
Yeah, exactly. It was, she hands over that third cup and you're like, oh no, who else is coming? And then you get the knock on the door and it's like, oh god, it's going to be him, isn't it?
It's such a subtle detail that, I mean, the pre-building shots like this at the start make it more nightmarish, but you could skip them, to be honest. So something that's interesting to throw out here is Kate here has said something really interesting. I think, honestly, this does kind of function as a PSA in many ways, because this goes out of in a horrible way that hits you and sort of makes you really feel for Sylvia. This episode does kind of show you quite a few practical mistakes that she makes, that you could learn from, and it makes it very clear that it is a mistake she's made. So if I go to the stuff on the bus comes to mind most of all. So there's a thing where he works out her name, because she's got her name is on her bag. Sorry, her initials are on her bag, and then her name's on the scarf. And from that, he's able to, get her whole identity. And from there, he's able to piece it together. Back then it would have been quite easy to try and look in a phone book and just get her address. I don't think it's an issue nowadays, but literally you could just look someone's name up in a phone book and there's a good chance that their number's in there, and from there you can get the address. It's sort of surprising to think how easy that would have been to do. But yeah, he's able to get this personal information from her. The thing about following people home, not calling the police immediately. Like she does the right thing in trying to call the police even if it doesn't work.
You say that, You say that. Sorry to interrupt. You say that, but she's even hesitant about phoning the police. She's like, "Are you sure? Because he didn't do anything." I just think she should have just screamed on the bus. Like, why didn't she just scream?
Yeah, I mean, it does show.
Get
how
that
vulnerable
away from me, you!
She wasn't going to say what she wasn't going to say the spot she was getting off at either, but the driver comes up to her and basically gets her to say her spot, and it's.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a how can I say, like a skin crawling moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just again.
She's so doomed, isn't she?
Yeah.
I was expecting some kind of twist where, you know, she is a malcontent who's going around and, you know, her whole dialogue is basically, everyone's rotten, everyone treats me badly. I thought, are we going to get some kind of weird thing where she's off the missing kid because she wants attention? And I felt really bad for her because I've just sort of done her down. She genuinely is a victim in this. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Ollie, that is absolutely quality deep lore. That's amazing.
What?
If you have that level of recognition, I don't know if you were around earlier. We were debating train quality because we felt the trains have gone down hugely in quality from this. We're watching something from 1965 last week, and that train, gorgeous, sophisticated. Anyway, yeah. This scene on the bus especially does just such an amazing job of charting something that is so incredibly relatable, just like the boundaries getting pushed and the way the guy does it when he finally speaks and he's jovial. You know, he's just been creepy the rest of the time and sort of gaunt and following around, and then he gets on the bus and he's bringing out this kind of jovial, cheerful, over friendly vibe that is disarming. It's so much more effective.
Yeah. Again, I'm going to teach my kids just to say "feck off, nonce."
Yeah,
loudest possible voice. Like again, like you yeah. She should have just done that, but then obviously, you know, she's following a script. You know, it's
well, yeah. As wifey said there, it's the thing of It's so easy. It's so easy to have that the boundary pushed and pushed and pushed, and think, I don't want to be the weird one, like screaming on a bus. But it's like, gosh darn it, I wish she had.
But then, like, okay, given the context though, you've got a young child being essentially like chatted up by this creepy old geezer. We can reasonably accept like that. In itself wouldn't. It's not like some Karen on the bus screaming because she didn't get the seat that she wants to sit on. Then she starts accusing the person sitting there of, I don't know, like sexism or whatever. You know, it's a young child being essentially, you know, someone trying to groom her. You would you'd hope at least you would hope in this day and age if you heard a child screaming and that was the reason for their screaming, you know that geezer wouldn't be walking home, put it that way. Unfortunately, most people nowadays will whip their phones out, start recording and ask someone else to phone the police.
Shout world star.
Yeah. Trouble is, kids are still told to seek out a kind-looking lady for help. That's very true, actually. That's very true. Yeah. That's
what this plays on so damn well.
Yeah. You hear it, like, you know, if you can't find a policeman or a staff member, a member of staff, go to a woman with kids. And it's like, I've heard that.
There's a movie called I want to say Changeling, directed by Angelina Jolie, which does a sort of similar thing and plays on the nightmare fuel.
That was based on a true story, which it was changed somewhat, but yeah. This
still
stuff
effective.
happens and it's just horrific.
Still effective, but I'm going to say, like, this affected me so much more. Like,
Well, this one's unglamorous. It's not. It doesn't have sex appeal.
no, none of that. It's concentrated, you know, it's a 24-minute episode, and it just packs the scares in, it creeps you out, it builds that sense of absolute doom the second this happened.
And what's clever about this particular moment is it's blended in when she picks the phone up and the line's dead, and it's because with that cup it is kind of blink and you miss it, because she's like, oh, the phone line's not working, and you think, oh my god, someone's tampered with it, and then she puts the phone down, picks up again, it's like, oh no, it is working. So it kind of like, it sort of brings that tension up, then releases it, but you've also got to spot the cup being passed over to see that third cup whilst that's happening, and it's kind of like, wait, what? Because, you know, is she passing that cup over for, like, her son, for example? Like, because you don't know at that moment, and you think, oh, the phone line isn't, you know, she's dragged all the way to the house, her trailer, the phone isn't working, oh crap, like, what's going on? Oh no, the phone does work. Okay, no, it's fine. She's just being ditzy. It's fine. Then she phones the wrong number, like you said, and you kind of think, she's still consistently being ditzy in that moment, but simultaneously she's bringing the guy into the house. It's very clever how she's essentially doing two things as a character at the same in the same moment.
I think it's keeping you busy as well. It just keeps you busy, so you're not having time to dissect analyze. And I think we have to remember, we're 3 seasons in, people are looking for a twist. It's just like Shyamalan films. If you see an M. Night Shyamalan film now, you're sat there from the first moment being like, what's the twist? Come on. What's the twist? Come on. Where's your twist? Yeah, the whole film you're looking for it. And I think in this one too, you're looking for the twist, so they move it on very quickly and keep it busy, and then they get those details in there before you realise, and then they can hit you with that wonderful symbolic explanation of why it is called Flypaper. And then, as far as it goes, is her just trying to get up, and both of them in this wonderfully framed shot just grabbing her and putting her down. It's sort of
gut punch.
It's a total gut punch, and I think the way the actress plays it by she's almost defeated. It makes it so powerful. And so this ends up.
Oh yeah, you haven't had your tea.
That's it, Croman. That's the thing. The way they keep trying to play it up as nice. That's still keeping up the sort of veneer of civility. Oh, it's just kind of a continuation of What's on the Bus. The veneer of civility, the veneer of cheer, and underneath it, you're just so aware of the menace. Oh man. And Kate, yeah, you're absolutely right. The mobile home, you just don't realise, it's that much more remote. It's tight in there, there's no escape, and they like their privacy. No one's going to stumble across. Absolute gut punch, and unexpectedly effective still. This is more... It's more impactful than a lot of the extreme gore I've seen, and I almost want to compare it to funny games in terms of the ability to impact on you and just sort of make you feel horribly hollowed out and broken.
Yeah, do you know what? That's a really good comparison, because now that you mention it, like, funny games had that same sort of emotional impact on me as this did. Yeah.
In the sense of,
I don't want. It's just I don't want to watch it again.
Yeah.
Like, I'm telling you now, if you ever do funny games on the channel, I just can't do it. It's just because it's gut punch after gut punch after gut punch, and they're not afraid to sort of go there with that violence. I mean, it sounds silly, but I'm watching a thing on Netflix at the moment called Z Nation. I didn't expect it to be 5 seasons worth, but there we go. And they're not. It's not as well done, so you can kind of get past it. But unlike most sort of horror stuff and things like that, they're not afraid to sort of, you know, kids aren't immune to the dangers in that sort of universe, if it makes sense. But it's not done in a way that, say, this or Funny Games is, where, you know, there's a real sort of they can draw you in and make you feel, whereas, you know, I mean, it's Netflix, for Christ's sake. I mean, but yeah, I couldn't go back and watch something like this again.
Yeah, I'd say there's a few horrors that have done that for me, where it's like, that was really done well, and
yeah,
yeah,
cool.
congrats. Yeah,
Yeah, nice one.
found
Thank
that
you.
a really horrible watch. Like on the horror side, Funny Games. I mean, I can watch Funny Games again, but it's a darn tough experience. I'd throw in maybe something like there's a Japanese movie called Daremo Shiranai. I think the English name is Nobody Knows. Or gosh, I had another comparison for just something that was similar. Possum. There we go. That was a recent one. I watched Possum, and it's incredibly well done. I'm never going near it again. With apologies. Far too effectively scary, far too effectively traumatic. Not going near it. So I put this in that category. Just horror that's too effective. Yeah. So, yeah, I can absolutely respect that desire to not go near this again.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
We'll get something clear
Sorry,
on after this, I swear.
Oh, don't worry. I'm gonna go look up some true crime stuff. I've got research to do anyway, so that'll be my light-hearted content afterwards.
Nice. I should have gone for royal jelly. Everyone wanted me to cover royal jelly for the episode. That's one of the famous ones for this. It's a lot more light-hearted, I think. But gosh, we're going to. Oh, Don't Look Now as well, for a similar one that has an absolute gut punch to it.
Okay.
Although that starts grim. That really sort of foregrounds the nastiness.
Right.
Yeah. Murgoot, any closing thoughts on the Flypaper?
Very well made. It's horrific, and it's very well told. Those are my comments on it. This one put me through the ringer.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Unexpectedly powerful, and you know, I'd like to hope that in a way this did just work as a PSA for people. That it gave a lot of people tips. You know, this was a popular show. This was prime time. I just hope that even though they're absolutely traumatized by it, I hope a lot of people watched this and got some very good advice for how to avoid this stuff. I really hope so. Okay. Well, that is all our episodes covered, folks. I'm going to get back to our title screen with the oh gosh, where is it? There we go. Our title screen for Tales from the Unexpected, with the lovely dancing sexy lady, who I'm informed is just the wife of the title designer who was told to dance. There's a guy needed to throw this together quickly. Here you go, love. Put on a white bodysuit. Do your best.
Dance, wench. I've got a title card to produce.
Yeah. I think the guy who did the music, Ron Grainer. I think he was actually involved with. Oh, I'm just looking for it now. I think he's a Doctor Who chap, but I'm struggling to confirm. Ron Grainer. Hang on, let me see. Yes, yeah, he did the theme tune for Doctor Who. There we go.
Oh wow!
I knew I recognised that name. All right then. Well, we will end in a time that will make Super Nanny very happy. So I think probably now we will move on to closing thoughts and scores for these episodes. And chat, if you did your homework, pitch in as well. I'd love to see overall scores. You can do episode scores as well if you'd like. That's absolutely fine.
I've just sent you something. Just if you need a little pick me up after that last episode. I think I found the perfect thing.
Tell you what, I'll put the link in chat actually because I don't know about showing that, but I'll put the link in.
Okay.
And there you go, chat. Have a look at this. When we're done, save that, and you can enjoy it to lighten the mood after this. But first, give us your scores. Give us your closing thoughts and scores, everyone. And while you're typing that up, I'll go to the panel. Murgoot, my friend, would you like to give us thoughts and scores?
Thoughts and scores, solid 9 for the block of them. The classic Man from the South, done so many times in so many different ways, is a solid 9. I love Jose Ferrer. The Landlady, I'd give an 8. It's well done. A lot of things to nitpick on it, but a good, solid story. And I'll give a hard 10 of 12 for Flypaper. So disturbing, so well done, but excuse me.
Too effective, I think. Too effective.
Yeah, I didn't want to cough in the microphone. It's very well executed. So for the block of them, a good solid 9.
I can respect that. And how about yourself, TCG?
I'd be hesitant to sort of rate them individually. Just because I felt like I didn't really have a favourite, if that makes sense. Because I think I equally enjoyed every episode. I think there was a few nitpicks with some of the dialogue, in particular the first one where it just felt very, very repetitive. But in terms of what the episodes were trying to get out of the viewer, I think they did it brilliantly. You know, the first one with the tension. With the aim of getting that tension out of the viewer, you know, with the lighter clicks. The second one with just the general sort of uncomfortableness and creepiness, and you know the fact that you knew what was going to happen before it actually happened, and kind of, you know, will our protagonist work it out or not? And then with the third one, just the utter it's just indescribable how you're meant to be left feeling after that one. Just awful, but they all did it very well. I actually preferred this coverage of anthologies over the Hitchcock one. Really, I actually rated it just slightly higher because I think what did I give the Hitchcock ones? I can't remember. But I'm gonna give this a 9.5. I might have given whatever I gave Hitchcock last week, this will be an extra half, but because I can't quite remember exactly what I gave it, I'm going to give it a 9.5.
I think my memory is that our Hitchcock scores were basically, in fact, I think you gave that one episode, The Glass Eye, a very well-deserved 12.
Oh, I did, didn't I?
That skewed our scores. It was like good stuff, but one episode that was so darn good.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
It threw everything else off.
But this was more consistent, I think, in their approach. I think it was far more consistent. But yeah, I think I'd give it. I'll tell you what. Let's round it up to a 10, just to be on the safe side. But but in terms of the 3 episodes compared to the 3 Hitchcock ones, I feel like I preferred this just because of the reactions that I got internally. That makes sense.
No, that's absolutely fair. I think also it's that much more relatable because it's British.
Perhaps.
You know, that helps.
Yeah.
And I still get the fascinating history angle. No, that's very fair. As for me, this is just my jam. All of this Twilight Zone, Alfred Hitchcock Presents Tales from the Unexpected. I'm going to be binging this a long time. I'm kind of hoping I get sick soon. Wouldn't that be awesome? I just want a nice sickness so that I can justify being off and sat just binging this all day with, you know, a healthy flu, you know. That'd be great. If only the coof was still a pain. Anyway, so this is stuff I'm inclined to rate highly. It's exactly what I like. I think Man from the South was the best story overall by quite a way. I think that's a strong 10. Sometimes, you know, between the Alfred version and this, I think there's probably an 11 in there, but this did suffer from a little bit of pacing problems. And the resolution that we see in Gosh Darn It, I would like something just a little bit above 360p, but what can you do? That's probably a 10 for me. The Landlady, I preferred the short story, and I'm a little biased because of that, so I probably end up giving that more of an 8. Done well, but, you know, not as emotive. And Flypaper, I think, has to go straight into a very strong 10, a 10 or 11, and I'm never going to watch it again. So I might get a good score now. I'm not
totally
agree. Yeah. Hey guys, this was brilliant. Never watch it.
Yeah. One and done. Thank you very much.
One and done. You know, absolutely. Thank you for the trauma.
Yeah, my therapist would be very pleased to.
Yeah, gosh. Anyway, yeah. So quite a range we got here. Quite a range. Overall, I think a 9 is quite nice. There are some problems of pacing. There are some problems of mostly picture quality, and sometimes it's a little jarring the way the standard music comes in at the end. If you remember, folks, it's kind of like West Wing. If you remember the West Wing, you'd have some horrible trauma. You know, Mrs. Lanningham's died, or, you know, Josh has suddenly had a horrible super glue accident and he's stuck in Toby. And then no matter how tragic it is, it's fine. It's fine. Move on. Whatever horrible tragic incident has occurred, you get the same plinky plonky happy music coming at the end, and it's just jarring. And this had a little bit of that too. So overall, I think 9 is fine. I'm going to go back to this. I want to watch a heck of a lot more. And luckily, we have a members bonus stream coming next week where we'll get to do it. So if you fancy that, you can see the stream. The cheapest way to do it is there is a $2 option or a £2 option, I forget which, on Subscribestar. So if you want to just do that, for 1 month's membership, you'll be able to see the bonus stream and a bunch of other exclusive content, including a bonus stream on the Twilight Zone that we did. That will be out for you next week. I will drop a video on Terrifier tomorrow, and I kind of hope I come back next week with a new intro, which I hope you will like. Speaking of next week, we're doing a member request, and I'm going to do a big cough.
Cough noises. Cough.
Oh, it's very impressive. It was very impressive. But I'm afraid I had to. Coughs are for members only. Coughs are for closers. So what I was trying to get to before my throat absolutely packed in, next week's horror homework is a member request that I'm really happy to do. We are covering Return of the Living Dead.
What?
Yeah. Thank the NREAB for that.
What?
Yeah, I love it. It's a very special movie. From Dan O'Bannon, who goes on to write Alien, which blows my mind. I still can't get it in my head that the same guy who wrote Alien made Return of the Living Dead, but there we are. So that is going to be a hoot. Return of the Living Dead next week. And oh, and I should also say next month, I will mention it as a final thing. Next month, I put out a request for what folks want covered. I gave you the option, do we cover the surprisingly good Fear Street trilogy on Netflix? Or shall we have a month dedicated to British horror director Christopher Smith, who I feel is very overlooked? Absolute unanimous votes for Christopher Smith. 100%. No one anywhere voted for anything that wasn't Christopher Smith. Like, do they love him or do they hate Netflix? Like, what's going on?
It's probably the latter.
Yes.
Just yes.
Yes. Chad, yes. All right, so there you go. That is a horror homework for next week. I have really enjoyed covering this batch of horror anthologies. We are well into the 70s with this now. It's awesome. So I'm going to sign off now. Massive thanks to Murgoot and that crime guy. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Bit of pleasure as always.
Yeah. And don't forget, if you haven't checked it out already, go and check out TCG's latest video on Joe Metheny. It is quite the story, and it's a solid half hour content. It's good stuff. I will leave it there. Chat, I'm really glad you enjoyed it. I'm loving the response to this, and I'm sure you'll also like me be watching more Tales of the Unexpected. That is all for me now. Thanks, y'all. Cheers. Oh, and get your copy of Pet Sematary ready for Saturday. I can't forget it again. Saturday, we're doing a watch-along stream. Go and click notify on.
Version.
Yes, 1989 version, of course. There we go. That's what we're doing. See you on Saturday. Thanks, y'all.